You know, when you think of ancient cities, you probably picture a king in his castle, right? But what if I told you the most important person wasn't the king, but this lonely figure standing on the wall? Today, we're diving into that powerful idea, the Watchman, and what it could possibly mean for us right now.
And that right there, that's the heart of what we're digging into. It's this idea that there's a pattern, a kind of blindness that happens right before a collapse, and that this pattern, which we can see all through Scripture, might just be happening all over again. To really get it, though, we've got to go back, way back. So I want you to just picture a world without the constant hum of our technology, a world lit by fire, where your whole day was governed by the sun coming up and the sun going down.
Yeah, a time before our nights were basically as bright as our days, before a million distractions were just a click away.
And on the very edge of civilization, in the quiet of the night, one person's job was maybe the most important in the entire city. That person? The watchman. Okay, so let's get into this. Who was this person, really? And what did they actually do up there?
Well, the watchman's job was honestly, it was brutal in its simplicity. We're talking about enduring the elements, the isolation, the sheer exhaustion for one single reason, to see what other people couldn't and to sound the alarm. Their entire purpose was to stay awake so that everyone else could sleep in peace. And this is absolutely key to understand. The watchman's power wasn't in his sword. It was in his voice. He wasn't supposed to defeat the threat himself. His job was to wake the city up so it could face the threat. The warning. The warning was everything.
And this is where the story so often takes a tragic turn, one that both history and scripture record over and over again. What happens when the warning is given, but nobody's listening?
Just look at this split-screen reality we've got here. It's fascinating, right? From up on the wall, the watchman sees these subtle, terrifying signs of danger on the horizon. But down in the city, life feels completely normal. The lights are warm, there's music in the air. It feels like a time of peace, totally disconnected from what's actually coming. See, inside the walls, the people are telling themselves a story. And the first chapter of that story is, we are safe. That shout from the watchman, it just sounds paranoid, an overreaction. And then comes the next part of that story. We have walls. Their very defenses have become a reason to be deaf. They start to trust the strength of the stone around them more than the warning from the man standing on top of it. And this is the ultimate illusion, the deadliest lie of all. The belief that danger is still far away, that there's always tomorrow to get ready. But for the watchman, tomorrow is already here. So you might be thinking, this is just a cool historical story, right? But it's so much more than that. This image of the watchman in the sleeping city, it's a divine pattern. It's a metaphor God uses throughout the entire Bible to show us a timeless truth about ourselves. And I mean, you see it everywhere once you start looking. In Ezekiel, God literally says to the prophet, "You are the watchman." In Isaiah, they're crying out day and night. In Jeremiah, we see their warnings get laughed at. And then Jesus takes this physical role and completely transforms it into a spiritual command for every single one of his followers. With these words, Jesus just elevates the whole idea. The threat isn't an invading army anymore. It's a lack of spiritual preparedness. The call to stay awake moves from the city wall right into the human heart. And this slide, wow, it just lays out the timeless cycle perfectly, doesn't it? It all starts with comfort. And as comfort grows, awareness starts to fade. And when your awareness is low, any real warning feels extreme, like an overreaction. And because those warnings get ignored, the collapse, when it finally comes, feels shocking and sudden. Okay, so that's the ancient pattern. But what about now? How does this apply to our world? If it's really a timeless pattern, what do those city walls and those warm, distracting lights, what do they look like today for us? I mean, let's be real. We're living inside these glowing cities of our own, aren't we? Our screens light up our nights. Our headphones fill every single quiet moment. The infinite scroll, the next episode, the packed schedule, these are our warm, distracting lights. And the danger is that these modern comforts work just like the ancient ones did. They replace true spiritual discernment with constant distraction. And all of this really gets to the heart of the matter, what you might call spiritual sleepwalking. And this is the great danger.
See, it's not about falling away from faith by jumping off a cliff. It's about drifting away on a slow current. It's not rejecting God in a moment of anger, but simply neglecting Him in our comfort.
Okay, I know this all sounds pretty heavy, maybe even a little bleak, but the message of the Watchman isn't actually meant to be about fear. It's about awakening, and it points to a source of incredible hope.
Because in the end, the story points us to Jesus as the true, the perfect watchman over our souls. His warnings, they're not meant to shame us or to condemn us. They are the cries of a rescuer who sees a danger we can't and is calling us back to safety. And what he asks of us in return? It's beautifully simple. This isn't about being on edge, panicked, and anxious all the time. It's about a calm, steady state of spiritual awareness. It's not a call to be perfect, but a simple call to stay faithful day by day. So that trumpet blast from the wall, it gets completely reframed. It's not a sound of doom. It's a sound of mercy. It's a loving call to wake up, because the King is on his way, not to crush us, but to heal and restore everything that's been broken. Which kind of leaves us with one last thing to think about, for real. Be honest with yourself. In our world of endless noise and distraction, what's the hardest part about staying spiritually awake? What makes it the most difficult for you to hear that call? That's a question really worth sitting with.